Glad to know you're still with us, and moving on to this particular conversation. As the ongoing strike by Academic Staff Union of Universities, Asuu, enters its sixth month, the National Universities Commission, NUC, has lamented the effects of the strike on the students, Nigeria's economy, as well as reputation of the nation's universities. Following the inability of the union to resolve its face-off with the federal government, the union extended the strike by 4 weeks at the National Executive Council NEC meeting of the union in Abuja. The union has been on strike since February 14th this year. Well, for further analysis, I'm joined by Mike Cookie, a public affairs analyst. He joins us via the telephone. Good to have you join us, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's look at this particular issue critically. It's believed that university education is fundamental to success and a nation's economy. Now, nations explore teaching, research, and community development for aspirational goals. This is something that a lot of persons know. But does it seem to you that the leadership of Nigeria, or the leadership in Nigeria, really understands the importance of tertiary education?
Sorry, can you come again on that question? I was really not hearing you loud on it.
Okay. I was saying that it's believed that university education is fundamental to success and the nation's economy, and that nations explore teaching, research, and community development for aspirational goals. This is what is known. It's a world standard, a worldwide standard. But does it seem to you that the leadership in Nigeria really understands the importance of tertiary education?
Okay, so that the leadership in Nigeria, do they really have an understanding of the importance of education?
Tertiary education, especially, looking at the fact that we keep having this back and forth between the unions and, of course, government.
Yeah, I really want to think that the government should have an understanding of the importance of education, whether at tertiary level or at secondary. Education is cardinal, is fundamental, okay? And every one of them, I believe, went through the four walls of an educational institution, whether at the tertiary level or whether at the primary level. They went at one point or the other in their growing up. They had that education. So I want to believe that they have an understanding of the importance of what it takes. But what we have now, having an understanding is one thing, and trying to implement what you understand to a developmental process or in the overall interest of the nation is another thing. Because presently, the attitude with which the government is displaying or putting up to education, it leaves much to be desired. All right, it's highly politicized. Most of them, their children are not schooling in the country. They are they are in the outer shores of other nations, so they can afford to want to play politics and toy with the educational system in this country, and that's rather unfortunate.
All right, we see that a lot of persons, analysts, industry watchers, and even stakeholders have condemned the attitude of the country's leadership towards either nipping these strikes in the bud or even quickly resolving them. What do you think the challenge really is?
What do I think?
What do you think the challenge is? Why is it difficult to nip these strikes in the bud? Why is it difficult to end these strikes? Why is it difficult to ensure that our children are in school?
Okay, so just exactly like I did say earlier on, all right, when the purpose of a sin is actually not known, abuse is definitely inevitable, okay? So like I did say that 80 or probably even 90% of the kids, of the children of these are leaders, they are practically not schooling in this country, all right? So in that breath, they would not really want to give that few needed attention or the priority that education requires in this nation. All right? So having the students stuck at home for well over 6 months is really, really unfortunate. When you even look at the education budget in what they appropriated for education in our national budget, it's something that it's laughable. It doesn't show seriousness. Okay, and there's a great distrust here between the Asuu and the leadership of this country. There is a failure of keeping to simple agreement from the leadership of this country, and it's not rocket science to fix the issues that is bedeviling our educational system. These lecturers, for crying out loud, have never seen a country where a counselor is earning more than a professor in this country. It only shows the priority that you give or how you take the educational system. You cannot fund infrastructure. Most of the infrastructure in the institutions, they are all dilapidated, and the government they are playing politics about this thing. We have been lending our voice over this. Civil society organization, different interventions have been calling on this government to want to fix the educational issues because it's actually affecting the nation. When you destroy the educational system, you are invariably destroying the nationhood.
All right, let's talk about what the lecturers are saying. That's because of what you just said now about the attitude of government. Well, the lecturers are asking for increase in the payment, and the federal government is saying that if this is done, that means the pay of the lecturers will increase to about 1 trillion naira. And the federal government is saying we do not have this much.
It's really unfortunate. Okay, government will always want to make excuses. Whatever the lecturers are requesting, it is not new. Okay, they've been on this issue way back, even from the beginning of this administration. Okay, the demands of the lecturers have been placed before the government. Increase of welfare, infrastructure, the mode of payment of these lecturers. They want their UTAS payment system to be adopted as against what the government is trying to say over it. And because the educational system is quite a unique and a specific one, you may need to consider the different things that go on within there. Researches are not being funded. So for government to be crying that they don't have this money to pay, to meet up with the demands of the lecturers, the same government, just some few months back, the ruling government, in their party politics and their party administration, it's an open thing. How, monies are flying about. You could sell a piece of paper and form for as much as 100 million naira and all of that. Okay, the accountant general supposedly in the nation, being accused of stealing a humongous amount, running into billions of naira. So when you say the things, you can't but want to think that how could the government want to say that they don't have money?
But
they have money to want to flitter about.
Well, talking about government having money or not, we also know that there have been several reports about how that what is being used to service debt or in servicing debt and also paying subsidy is almost reaching to the point where it's even overtaking our revenue. So you might want to say, maybe the government might be right. Or what are your thoughts?
Okay, so you are talking about, if I can understand you clearly, the payment government is saying that they don't have money, but payment of subsidies and all of that. Do I get your thoughts right on that?
Absolutely, yes. I'm looking at if the federal government is saying they do not have that money, and we also see reports saying that what is being expended on subsidy and what is being expended on debt servicing is almost eroding the revenue of the nation.
Good. So in that same way, if government is spending so much claimed that there was no subsidy, and they came into power, and now we're hearing about government is spending so much for this, for payment of subsidies and all of that. I mean, this is quite funny. It only shows where government is putting its priority, and that the education system is not one of its priority. Okay, now the public institution, which is supposed to be affordable to the common man, to the masses, is being destroyed. And some of these government officials, they are owners of private universities. All right? Well, we hardly hear that private universities ever go on strike. And they are the owners of some of these private universities, and for the others that can't, they send their kids outside. So I just hope that this government will not have issues on this hand where the masses will begin to take to the streets, okay, and begin to protest over this issue, because the call for government to resolve this issue is becoming overbearing. If government can find money to fix issues that are not germane, I mean, I don't understand why they think that education is not as important for government to go, and they are taking loans to do things that are less important. If you take loans and you think you are using those loans to want to fix up the education, I don't think it is too much.
All right, let me come in here. I mean, let's look at the economic impact of these strikes on the nation and, of course, on the stakeholders. The stakeholders here being the students, their parents, and even those who run businesses on the various campuses. What is the economic implication of these strikes?
Obviously, that is an economic implication. Okay, shutting down the institution for well over 6 months, and you know, some of these institutions they have systems where you know there are financial remunerations. Some of these students, even on campus, they do some menial and petty jobs just to want to augment their payment for their salary. Some of them, their parents, you know, do some ad hoc services, you know, supplies to these institutions, stationaries, furniture, and stuff like that. You know, so the entire ecosystem of the educational institution is being grounded, and the adverse effect it's much. Okay, so again, when you want to look at it on the other side, we're having educational tourism, okay, where you see people no longer have faith. They don't believe in our educational system anymore, and they begin to look out for ways to send their kids to neighboring countries as much as Ghana, you know, Togo, and just nearby countries, because their educational system seems to be simple. You send a child for a 4-year program, and you can be sure that that 4 years the child will go in and come out, and that's a major loss of revenue, you know, to the nation, because by the time you aggregate this amount of this educational tourism flight that is leaving the nation, don't forget that the individuals, they pay in foreign currencies to these nations or different nations where they send their word. Okay, so we need for now, our revenue is seriously depleted. Our foreign reserve is strongly depleted. Okay, so that is one area that the nation is also losing by reason of this strike that has been unsettled with the government. It's affecting the nation. The nation is losing serious revenue. The educational sector is taking a nosedive. And the earlier the government wakes up to its responsibility, the better for everyone.
All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts, Mike Cookie.